My name is Carrie, and I live in the Queenston area.
How long have you been living here?
18 years. 18 plus years.
And where were you before Queenston?
All over different parts of St. Catharines I lived in. As a kid, I lived in Agron Lake.
Okay. So what school did you go to?
Oh, it was Calvin Memorial at the time, my grade school. Now I think it's called Beacon or something like that. And then I went to what I called Coconut College, but it was actually Kernahan Park.
Well, why? What was it about that experience that made you call it that?
Kernahan I didn't fit in because a lot of the people had a lot of developmental issues. I'd rather have been in a regular high school, but they stuck me there. My parents did.
So what were you into at school? Were you?
I was into horticulture, and I tried to get in the culinary course, which I never got into. And they stuck me in, what's it called? Painting and decorating, and I tried so hard to fail that course. Everything I could do, they passed me. The sewing, and the teacher finished my project and passed me. It's like, you give me for a sewing machine, I seize it up. I'm not mechanical.
Did you play any sports or?
No. No, I'm not a sports person.
Okay. So you're into plants. How did you get into horticulture or what?
Naturally. It's just something, it's in my background. My grandmother, from my mother's side, was a great gardener. So I got it from her. But if you give me anything that flowers, I kill. Anything green, I can keep alive.
Okay. What was it about your grandmother and her gardening that really?
I only met her once, and she had a huge vegetable garden in her backyard. And that's where I realized where I got my gardening skills from.
Okay. So I take it you garden today.
Oh, I haven't been today, but I've been down yesterday. I go now, my vegetable garden, it's taking care of itself. Like, I keep up with the weeds. We have enough water so I don't need to water. I just check on what's ripening, what to take before it disappears from the garden because where it's located. Just getting some fresh stuff out of there, get my herbs when I need it, that kind of stuff.
So where's your garden?
And I have a garden in Richard Pierpoint Park.
Is it at a certain size plot, or how does that work?
I think I don't know. I got two smaller ones, and I pay like $20 for each, and it's my responsibility to weed it, water it, take care of it, that kind of stuff, the usual stuff. And believe me, I do. I watch it like a hawk because the location of it's very accessible to people in the park.
And what do you mean by you need to watch it like a hawk?
There's a lot of theft and vandalism. I actually had 98% of my garlic pulled 2 months ago. It wasn't even ready. It swung all the way across Queenston Street.
You found it after?
I found it after, and it was just not my garden. There's other gardens, way too much garlic swung around Queenston Street. Coming from mine, there's way too many. So there's a lot of vandalism. They do it because they could do it, and then there's people that come in there who can go to the grocery store, and because it's the name of the garden, they think that they come and take.
What is it about the name of the garden?
It has community in it, so they thought they can come in. It's for everybody to take stuff.
Oh. That must be discouraging then.
Yeah, it is. There's few people that haven't come back because of it. And it is discouraging. I would love to grow a few things in there, but I know that I would never see them.
So what do you grow in there?
A lot of greens, like chard. I had lettuce early in the season, but now they're gone because it's too hot. Onions, tomatoes, herbs, like 6, 7 different herbs in there. Beets.
Any tomatoes?
Tomatoes, yeah. I got 12 plants. It's stuff like that. It's just
What's coming up right now?
my cherry tomatoes. And I had 1 plum tomato ready. I thought it was ready, but when I took it off the vine, it was only half green, half ripe and half green. But they're coming up soon, and I watch them. Like I usually pick them when they're half green and take them home and put them in the window to ripen up.
Saves a trip?
Well, it's just so I know that they're not. I have them and nobody else has gone and take them. I don't care they take a few cherry tomatoes. I don't care about that. But
Okay, so you got to pick them premature.
well, yeah, when they're just about half ripe or close to being ripe, I go down there and get them.
Okay. How much time do you spend in the garden? Is it like a daily thing for you?
Most days, yeah. Most days I spend half the time, half the day in there. Even though I've done my stuff, I just sit there and listen to the birds and pick the raspberries and, that kind of stuff. It's just, I watch the people too coming in and coming out to see if they're gardeners or if they're just, looking or if they're up to no good.
Have you made friends with some other gardeners?
Yeah, I have.
Cool. So then what else fills your time in a day? If half the time is gardening, what does the rest of your day look like?
I do jigsaws, word searches, clean around the house. There's always something to do around the house. I cook stuff. If I get extras, I blanch it and get it ready for winter and stick it in containers for the winter months and put it in the freezer. Me making homemade freezer sugarless raspberry jam, which that was a feat in itself because I found that freezer packets that I need, but I haven't seen them in the stores since.
So you're pretty resourceful with what you have then?
Yeah, yes. I kind of have to be.
Why is that?
Living on low income is really difficult. The time I pay my rent, which is about 80% of my ODSB check, 15% of it goes to my bills to make sure my phone and my insurance and, banking fees and all that stuff, and laundry and transportation when I need to get out and do stuff to set aside. Is done, and then 5% is left for groceries, cleaning products, personal items, my cat supplies.
So for 5%, what would that be in a month? How much do you left for food?
About $160 to $280. That includes what I get on the 10th, which is Trillium.
So approximately $200 a month you have for food and everything else.
Everything else, and after that, I'm out of luck. If I can't afford something because I need something else, I have to sacrifice something. It's other avenues I use in what I call my invisible toolbox.
Tell me more about this toolbox.
I have other avenues, like once a month I can go to community care, which helps a little bit, but not much. There's outreaches out there every now and then come up. And there's, if I want to get a loaf of bread and I don't want to pay for it, because that's one thing I don't want to put money towards, because I can use it for, say, a couple cans of cat food, then I go to North End once in a while and get a free loaf of bread. Outreach. Sometimes I go to the soup kitchen. I really don't need the food half the time, but I just go there just for a quick lunch and talk to some of the people, which helps out every now and then. And whatever I get out of the garden, to helps me out for the summer months and for the winter months.
I know do you ever do any couponing or?
I used to,
Yeah.
not anymore. Coupons are very, very hard to come by, and there's often products that I don't use or that are expensive. I used to use points apps, but then they changed the rules on that you couldn't. You have to get $30 worth of this or $30 worth of that, and I'm not spending $30 on this or that. So I stopped using them. I just get what's on sale. I get my meat 50% off. If it's not 50% off, I don't buy it. I go to the vegetable racks that are reduced. And if people put their nose up to it, I'm thinking, some squashed tomatoes, but that's okay. I can chop them up and put it in a baggie and put it in the freezer for winter. It's just, I learned not to waste anything. Because I find a lot of people waste stuff.
Was that a self-taught skill, or was there an
Yeah, kind of self-taught. I had to. I've learned if I get milk, I get the stuff in the red bag. I think they're 3 1/4% or something like that, instead of the 1 or 2%, because that has a higher milk fat content in it. So it can last me for a month for my coffee. Meanwhile, 2% or 1%, 2-3 weeks down the road would go bad. Instead of buying boxed cereals, I get oatmeal that you cook on a stove. Because it goes a lot further. You know, I buy dry beans instead of canned because there's an easy way to cook in them. And you get a lot more of a bag of dry beans than canned.
So where do you do your shopping? Like how?
Food Basics. I like Giant Tiger. They have good sales. Sometimes theirs, if they have stuff really good, a week ago they had cheese for $4.88. I picked up 3 bricks.
Yeah.
Of cheese. I mean, it's stuff, whatever the sales are. And I make a point that the day that I do it, it's basically I get a day pass for the bus. I go that way. I don't have to pay a lot of bus fare, and I can get my laundry done too by taking the bus back and forth that day for like $7.25.
Okay.
Which is only like $1.25 more if you just go 2 ways.
So you have to bus to
Oh yeah.
Because there's nothing around.
No, nothing. No, it's nothing around. And the stuff can have tendency to get heavy, so then I have to make different trips to different places.
Was there ever a grocery store? You said you lived here for 17 years.
There's never been a grocery store in this area.
Huh.
People rely on the corner stores. And they're not cheap. I mean, a lot of them put the markup by 60, 70, almost 80% in those places. I mean, you pay $4 for a loaf of bread in one of them. Meanwhile, if you go to Giant Tiger, they're $2.
I guess in addition to not having a grocery store, is there anything else in the area that is just difficult, or that you've found that you've had to overcome?
Well, last year I had an experience. It was really hot at night. I couldn't sleep, so I was just outside getting fresh air, fully dressed. Some young kid rolled up and asked me how much I charged for a particular sexual act. What I wanted to do, I couldn't do. So I just told him, I live here, buddy. Go away. Get off the property. So if you sit outside, because the location and what it's famous for, and you're not one of those women who does that stuff, and you just live here, the guys go around and around and around and around to look see if you are or if you aren't in their vehicles. So it's just hard just be able to walk down the street sometimes. I mean, I don't do that stuff. I don't go in the street and sell my body. I just live here. I mean, and that's hard. That's hard when they keep doing that. Because they give you assumption that they assume that you are.
What is there anything that you'd say you've really enjoyed about the area? Like what's your
The bus
part?
routes are convenient.
So it's a good place to. It's central to getting to where you want.
Yeah, for the buses system, yes.
Is there anything specifically in Queenston that you feel is really you really enjoy or that you really cherish? You've had good memories.
Just a few little tidbits, like the people I meet, the friendships I formed, like the secondhand store. Even some of the people at the soup kitchen, they helped me out, stuff like that. It just makes me kind of grateful for what's in this area and people who I can know that are not, don't have hidden agendas.
Yeah, that's really important. What would you like other people to know about your life experience?
I've been around the block quite a few times, so I've learned through experiences how to survive, how to get by, how to deal with people who assume you're something that you're not, and not acting out what you want to do. And just to let things roll off your shoulder and not take anything personally. Because if you take things personally, it make you go crazy.
What false assumptions do you think people might have about you or about living in Queenston?
When I first moved here, the look on their faces. You moved where? Why did you move there? They assume because of the reputation it has. But they don't understand that actually I fit into this area. I fit into it. I can be myself. I can go by the beat of my own drum and nobody even would think about it and not try, and have a neighborhood try to conform me into something I'm not. They assume that anybody down here is of a lower class, which is not true because unlike me, there's a lot of people, a lot of families here, a lot of low-income people that do have jobs and do work hard, but unfortunately, they have to live in an area like this. It's the only place they can afford. It's just, the people just assume the worst of it. Meanwhile, it has things like they have churches and businesses and a good bus system and community gardens that you can rent out nearby and a nice park down the street. And you can walk, it's good walking distance to other places. They don't think of that stuff. They only see what's on the surface and what's not underneath.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share? I mean, you mentioned you might have written.
Yeah, I know I did that because I had a few notes, but no. My life experience has shaped me for who I am today. Ever since I can remember as a little girl, I was a rebel without a cause, and if I didn't want to find trouble, it found me. Like example, I hated going to the Dutch Reformed Church. They didn't really accept me, so I did anything and everything not to go to church. You had to have your best church stuff. Your shoes shined. So I used to climb the poplar tree, scrape my knee, get my shoes dirty, get mud on my face if I could. And yeah, I became the family stone because I went to church with a scraped knee and dirty shoes and whatever. But it's just, and I learned throughout the years that if you try to put me in a box when I'm a round peg into something square, ain't gonna work. I'm gonna crawl right out and I'm gonna just go do my own thing and not allowing it to bother me. I'm not super smart. I know how to survive. I know how to do things on the cheap and how to handle myself. I don't have a college degree or anything. But one thing I do have that most people don't have some these days is I do have the common sense. And sometimes I have opened my mouth and sore foot disease. I say something stupid at the wrong time. But that's just part of my personality. And I take no guff from anybody. It's just how I was taught through the years how to defend myself and rely on myself.
It seems like you have a lot of self-confidence and pride in who you are and your life experience, and that's really special. I think that's.
Well, it's something I had to do over the years, because when you're low income and I know DSP, and you have to use services that people look down on, you have to lift up your head. You have to have that confidence to say to them, look at them in their face and say, look, you might be privileged, but I'm doing what I need to do. Without asking and begging in a corner. You know, you have to have that pride and hold your head up, because to show them, it's like, look, like, you know, like, you're wrong. We can still have pride and still take care of ourselves.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. It is super meaningful, and it's a privilege to know you, Carrie, and yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
You too. I mean, you don't judge people. You know what? We do judge people, even though we don't think about it. I'm one of those people that, yeah, I have judged, and I was wrong. But once you get to know people, you get to know what they're like, not what you see.
It's very true.